Another massive semi-final, guys. It's the Springboks versus Wales. As I mentioned, a huge match. It is the Six Nation champions against the Rugby Championship champions. It couldn't be bigger. I'm going to give you all of the analysis. As I said, we are stepping up the analysis. It's business time in the Rugby World Cup, and we are bringing that detail to help you predict a winner. Kia ora everyone, my name is Zach. I love rugby. Welcome back to Hakatang Rugby. We're going to start off with the credentials of both of these teams. What is the form that they are bringing into this Rugby World Cup? So for Wales, as I mentioned, they are Grand Slam champions. They are Six Nations champions, and they've had an incredible 2019. They really have been the dominant Northern Hemisphere team this year, and they have peaked at exactly the right time. They have a great blend of experience and youth, and they have that right mix. I mean, I was watching some analysis before the Rugby World Cup on what it takes to have a World Cup winning team, and it is very much a team that has a level of experience within their squad in terms of number of caps and proven championship winning teams. So I think the Welsh team in particular, they tick all of those boxes. From a Springboks perspective, they come in as rugby championship winners this year. They were able to get a very, very good draw against the All Blacks in Wellington this year, beat Australia in what was a great match there. And they've had a great 2019 and great lead up into this World Cup. In terms of the World Cup form, Wales have not lost a game, and they've done everything required to get up to this point. Now, we can highlight a couple of their performances where I think you can question whether or not there is a drop in intensity, whether or not they're starting to look tired. Certainly against Australia, for example, in that game, they had a great first half where they were able to score a number of points. And then, unfortunately, in the second half, they dropped their concentration somewhat, and Australia were able to come back. Against France in the quarterfinal, similarly, but in reverse, they had a very, very slow start against France, and then they were able to chase them down. And let's be honest, there was a bit of good luck there along the way as well with the red card. But nonetheless, this team has found a way to win. And that's been something that has been highlighted by Warren Gatland. He said this team has forgotten how to lose. And winning can very much become part of the culture. And I think Wales have established that mentality now. And that's going to be huge as they go forward into the rest of these matches. If they are fortunate to get beyond the semi-final and into the final, that skill of winning ugly and with the right mentality to win is going to carry them a long, long way. For South Africa, we all know they dropped that first match against the All Blacks. That one, you could almost look at it as a grand final or a World Cup final lead-in match. Really, after that game, a lot of people were saying that this will be the final, and it is still on track to be so. South Africa come in here with very dominant quarterfinals performance. I've done a full video on that, so go back and check that one out, where they just physically beat up that Japanese team. Now they come in against a pack that is going to match them for intensity, or at least play a similar style of game to the Springboks. And that's really where the keys of victory need to be assessed here. So I'm going to go through for each of the teams what the keys to victory are. And let's start with South Africa. So firstly, and I've made it widely known, my criticism around some of the style of the play that they're bringing, but Faf de Klerk, he is an excellent, excellent halfback, one of the best in the world, but he continues to persist with this tactical kicking and ineffective box kicks. Keys to victory for me is to find a better ratio of kick, pass, run. And in particular, I'd like to see him running more and kicking less. He has shown how effective he can be when he runs the ball. And really, South Africa started to get really good dominance in that second half when they started to run the ball more. When you have a forward pack that is going forward and where you are dominating the collision and the set piece, you need to get reward for that dominance. And one way you get that is by running when the defense is retreating. And that's where they got success against Japan, and that's what I'd like to see him do in this match as well. While Rassie may have an idea of strategy to kick the ball, I do think that under the high ball, this Welsh team is very, very good. And one way to compete with them better is just to find that bit of variety in attack. Kick, pass, run. I'm a big advocate for teams that have strength in those three areas, and that's one key to victory I think South Africa need to focus on. Second key to victory. Andre Pollard needs to improve his kicking percentage. There's been a number of times that teams have been left in the match because of missed opportunities around points. We saw it against the All Blacks. Now, while he could have taken that kick and extended to 6-0, That may not have changed the outcome of the game against the All Blacks, but they had a dominant period in that first 20 minutes, and they should have got better reward for the work that they were doing. Against Japan, they went into halftime at 5-3, and you've allowed Japan to stay in a game despite having a dominant physical performance. They could have had 10-3, which is a far better statement, and it's a far better outcome, as I say, reward for the work that they have done. So I'd like to see him increase his kicking percentage and really put scoreboard pressure on the opposition. That's going to be quite important. Other keys to victory: use your X factor. You have one of the best runners in the world on the wing. You need to have plays designed for Cheslin Kolbe. Now, I watched back that All Blacks versus South Africa game, and I counted 6 touches that Kolbe had in that match with the ball in hand, and 4 of them were from counter-attacking kicks from the All Blacks. That means that the South Africans themselves only passed the ball to Cheslin Kolbe, one of the best ball runners in the world, twice in a match. And that's craziness. If you look at guys like Manu Tuilangi, how often does he get the ball? When you look at Vakatawa from the French centre, how often does he get the ball? You look at Beauden Barrett, he just had 20 runs in the last match from fullback. You know, teams need to design plays around the X-factor players. Use the best potential that you have in your team, and you give yourself a great chance of winning. So that's another key to victory. Last thing, the Springboks, and I think they will, they need to win the collision and win the forward battle. Now, I think these South African forwards are probably the most powerful forwards in the Rugby World Cup at the moment. So I do think that they will win the collision and very much be in a position to dominate around set piece. Let's see. The Welsh forwards as well are very, very big and strong, and that's going to be a key area to focus on in this match. For Wales, they need to start fast. You can't allow teams to get away from you. Now, while they were good enough to chase down France, and as I mentioned, they probably had a little bit of good luck there, for some of the better Tier 1 nations, particularly anyone left in this competition, you will not have the luxury to chase down leads like that. Discipline is far improved in these teams, and the ability to score points becomes a lot tougher. So Wales need to start faster, they need to put points on the board, and they need to progress forward, because if you're left in a situation where you are chasing against either England, the All Blacks, or the Springboks, you're going to find it very, very difficult to bridge that gap. Next thing, they need to focus on the midfield. Against France, I saw they had a lot of success in that midfield defensively, and I think one of the big reasons Jonathan Davies obviously was not available for that match, not only is he a great attacker, but he's also very, very astute in defence in that midfield. Diolande at the moment is playing very, very well, particularly after that Japan game, so they're going to be getting a lot of traffic in the midfield and a lot of traffic on the wings, and that's where centre defence is very, very important. So I think what I would do if I was Warren Gatland, if Jonathan Davies is something like 70% fit, I would play him. 70 or 80% fit, play him. Because you need that defensive structure in play. You need, and often defense can come down to understanding who you were defending with in terms of the continuity between the defenders, understanding what people's strengths and weaknesses are. And I just think having a guy that has been there time in, time out is going to be more valuable, probably a good communicator as well in that defensive backline, is going to be more valuable than disruption from a defensive perspective in the centres, and that is something that we saw against France. They had great success attacking in the centres. Final key to victory for Wales, they need to match that intensity that we know the Springboks are going to bring. You need to win the collision, and that is tackle on tackle on tackle, and you need to match them in the set piece. If you can do that and take away some of those advantages, then you can be competitive. Those are the keys to victory for each of the teams. Now, what is my prediction in this match? I think this match comes down to 3 areas. Now, I've highlighted keys to victory for South Africa, but I don't think they've played consistently in that manner throughout this tournament. So Rassie Erasmus might have a very specific strategy that he wants to implement, and they may continue with the box kicks from Faf de Klerk. And I think they probably lose some of their advantage if they do that. The halfback battle is going to be very, very interesting. I'm a big fan of Gareth Davies. I think he's one of the best halfbacks in the world, if not the best in this tournament. Probably second only to Aaron Smith, or on par with Aaron Smith, I would say, in this tournament. And he comes up against Faf. Now, Faf adopts, if second half Japan Faf plays in this game, I think the Springboks will win. If first half Faf plays in this game, I think the Springboks, it'll be very, very close. I think it'll be very, very close. And this battle between the halfbacks is going to be particularly important. Faf's a guy that gets under your skin. And Gareth Davies is an explosive athlete, probably one of the fastest running halfbacks in the game. It's going to be a very, very interesting watch. And then the other thing is the kicking battle. I'd probably give the tactical kicking advantage to Wales. I think Dan Biggar and Gareth Davies, both in terms of their tactical kicks, they're just slightly more astute, and they may gain some territory dominance as a result, particularly if we see more of this ineffective kicking from Faf. So what's my prediction? I think this is going to be a close game. I think the Springboks have all the tools to implement in order to win this comfortably. I just haven't seen that they are backing that strategy and that game plan. I think Rassie Erasmus is going to say again to Faf, I want you to kick the box kicks. I want you to put up the high balls. Wales have a very, very good defense against high balls, and they also have very, very good tactical kicking. If they can match the physical dominance of the Springboks, then it could be a very, very interesting game. Despite that, I still think the Springboks probably have the superior backline, and particularly the X factor, and I think they're going to get home here in a very, very close one. Wales have proven their ability to win and to stay in this with games. They've proven their ability to defend very, very robustly, but I just think the Springboks team have a few too many weapons for Wales to be able to dismantle and get the win. I also think that Wales are starting to look a little bit tired. You know, after a very, very good 2019, they may have just left their peak a couple of weeks too late. And for that reason, I think the Springboks will get on top of them, and the Springboks will win by 5 points. But let me just say, I would not be surprised at all, and Wales have all the tools to win this game. I would not be surprised if we see a Welsh win by 5 points. That's my view, guys. I've given you all the detailed analysis. As I mentioned, it's business time in the Rugby World Cup. It's business time in our analysis. And let me know what you think. Are there any other relevant points that I've missed? What do you think in terms of predictions on this game and who ultimately is going to win? Thanks again for joining, guys. I've got more videos coming, so stay tuned. I'll see you in the next one.